Welcome to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive, the intelligent files app for Microsoft 365. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. I'm Ankita Kirti, Product Manager on the OneDrive team.
And I'm Jason Moore, Group Program Manager for OneDrive. This show will take you behind the scenes of OneDrive, shedding light on how OneDrive connects you to all of your files in Microsoft 365, so you can share and work together from anywhere, while protecting your work from accidental loss and malicious attacks.
Today, we are excited to have on the show Daniela Dimitrova and Eli Waalkes to talk about the OneDrive mobile app for Android.
And for today's show, we're actually all calling in remotely. So it's going to sound a little bit different, but you'll hear from Daniela, Eli, Ankita, and myself, no different than before, and we've got an absolutely great show for you today.
We have discussed this before, that today work doesn't always take place in an office space, and information workers are expected to be connected to their files when they are traveling to a client's location, to a meeting, or even working remotely from their home or a cafe. And alongside Office mobile apps and Microsoft Teams, 4.6 plus rated OneDrive mobile apps on iOS and Android empower you to stay connected to all the files throughout Microsoft 365, as well as capture and collaborate from anywhere and on any device. So be it creating, editing, marking up, or annotating files, or sharing them with your peers across departments and with external clients and vendors outside your organization, you can do it all directly from your Android and iOS devices. And today, to talk more about these amazing mobile scenarios, we have our Android team in the house. Jason, would you like to introduce them?
Absolutely. Today joining us, we have Daniela Dimitrova. Daniela is the designer for OneDrive Android, and she's passionate about designing great experiences and creating an app that people would love to use. We also have Eli Waalkes, our OneDrive Android Program Manager. He also drives our PDF experiences across OneDrive and SharePoint.
Thank you for having us. We're very excited to talk to you guys both today.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys on. I'm really excited.
Okay, so the first question today is, Eli and Daniela, can you run through the top functionalities that have been rolled out in the past 6 months that folks might not know about?
I'd love to. We've been really busy over the last 6 months. It's been awesome. Daniela joined the team within the last year, and it's been a great addition. And her, along with all of our engineers and me, have been working really tightly together to try and add as much customer value as we can. So some of the highlights that we've gone through in the last 6 months, the first, which people have been dying for so long, is dark mode. We had dark mode on iOS a little bit more recently, or a little bit before we got it on Android. And people have been asking for it on Android for forever, and we finally got to it, and I really think we kind of knocked it out of the park. I think it looks beautiful. It's rolling out today, actually. So by the time you're listening to this, probably it should be in the Play Store, so you can download it, turn that on. Really excited about that feature for sure.
Yeah, I've loved using dark mode, and frankly, the fact that it can go with my OS settings, to me, has made it work really well, because I don't run in dark mode all the time.
Same with me. I'm based on the sunlight kind of dark mode guy. The next one I want to really talk about too is on this day. So this is actually a consumer feature, but it's something that we've had on other endpoints before, on web and on iOS as well. And we finally brought it to Android. We tried to add a couple more features to it in particular. So we wanted to make sure that we had a great header and a great experience, so that, when you're looking at these photos. So as a little preface, I guess what I should say is that on this day is a feature that lets you look at your photos from years past. So we're recording this on March 5th, 2020. You'd be able to look at March 5th, 2019, 2018, 2017, all the photos you took on that day to kind of relive all those memories from the past. This has really been like a cool delighter. I know that I love looking at my OneDrive app each day and seeing whatever is in on this day, because it brings me back to that experience in the past. And it's really easy to share with my friends and family too. So recently I saw a photo of a trip that I had went on, and I sent it out to all my friends who were there along with me. It was a great little tidbit.
I think it's been a nice consumer feature that we added. It's been awesome to open it every day or whenever I have photos from on this day and relive memories, and it's very nostalgic. I share it immediately with the friend or family member who is in the photo, and it just brings up a lot of great stories and memories that we can chat about and relive again.
Yeah, my favorite aspect of this feature is it kind of rewards you. The more you're kind of sharing or storing your photos in the cloud, the more you have the opportunity in the future to see those memories pop up again. So on this day is awesome, but what else?
When I joined the team, there was a huge process that we started when we reviewed the listing grid view in our app. And we noticed a lot of opportunities to improve the accessibility inside the app, make a lot of the thumbnails more legible by adding proper borders around the big thumbnails that you see in the app, and sort of creating this visual grouping of elements to make it easier for people to scan through their files and find everything quicker.
Yeah, so that was a big one. It looks beautiful. I'm really glad to kind of refresh the look of the app, and kind of going along too with some of the Fluent updates, which I think Danielle will probably talk about later. One last thing kind of along those lines that I'd love to point out is our new annotation UI. So we have PDF annotation within the app, and we kind of completely reformatted the look of that to make it as mobile friendly, as intuitive and easy as possible. So it's super quick now to be on your Android phone. Maybe you open up your lease paper or a statement of work or a contract or whatever. You can add a signature, you can add ink annotations, you can highlight, and it's all really smooth and easy to use. And something we're really proud of. We went through a bunch of iterations of designs there. We worked closely with customers to figure out how they used it. And we're really proud of the experience we're able to show off for our new annotation UI.
Yes, I really like the ability to actually add a signature in the PDF editor, the annotation UI. And it's something that I've struggled before a lot, especially since other services are asking you to pay to add a signature. And it's just an amazing feature that lets you sign off documents really quickly.
So one more that I just got to throw in there. I'm sorry, I know we've gone through a bunch already, but we really have been busy. But this is our ODB search upscope feature. So we are an app about viewing all your files, and of course, search is such an important part of that. And now we've added the ability to search across literally any file you're a part of. So there's OneDrive, there's SharePoint, there's files in a bunch of different places. Well, we added this entry point so you can say, hey, any file in the entire, my entire company's ecosystem, I get to search across as long as I have permissions to view it. And so that makes it really easy when you have that weird file that you remember from a meeting like a week and a half ago that was by a person on a different team that maybe is storing it in SharePoint, or maybe it's in there, like wherever it is, we'll be able to find it with this new search upscope feature.
And it's just a simple toggle. I love this feature. I mean, it makes the search experience so simple and convenient, connecting you again to all your files. And just with a simple toggle, natively you can search for all of the files, be it in SharePoint or OneDrive. It's amazing.
Awesome. So, okay, great. Those are a bunch of things that you've all been up to. The team has been working on and delivering a great set of things. But those are a lot of the things that we've talked about. A lot of people might have seen them if they've been paying attention. What in your mind is something that's more of a hidden gem of the Android app, something that people might not have discovered or known about that is worth knowing about?
Actually, there's something awesome that is now available in our app. It's not hidden, but maybe something that could be unknown to people if they haven't tried to do it. Maybe you know that Android has been supporting drag and drop for a while, and not many apps support it individually. And it's amazing to say that the Android app now supports drag and drop. You can try it out just by holding and pressing on any file and move it into a different folder, for example. You can also select multiple files and then press and hold to drag and drop them. And we're super proud of this work. It makes moving and organizing files so much easier. We're really excited to see how that would increase productivity in the OneDrive app.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. That's a good example of something that might not be obvious. You may not even think you can do it, but it's so powerful when you can do that, with, especially across multiple files. It makes kind of organizing things on a mobile device a snap.
Yes.
Eli, anything you have to add?
Yeah, there's one more that I really want to point out. We call it markup a copy. It's the ability to, when you look at a Word or Excel or PowerPoint document, to really quickly convert it into a PDF and just begin annotating. So we know that there are scenarios where maybe you're in a meeting and someone's giving a presentation. You want to take some notes, but you want to do it with your pencil and paper. I know that's very intuitive for a lot of people. So we added this button, super easy. You just tap it. It converts your PowerPoint or Word document or Excel spreadsheet into a PDF, and you can immediately just start marking it up. And I'm really proud of this one. I honestly, it's funny. I keep saying proud, but it's like these things are, they really, the product of a lot of hard work from a bunch of different people kind of coming together and making this work. So it's really something that I like to think about and say, hey, this was a really good outcome that I think people should take advantage of more because it's a really great feature.
That's awesome. I love that. You guys have covered a little bit of here's some of the great features that have come along, some hidden gems. But how does someone actually join and get the latest and greatest? I know we operate a beta program for folks. What's the deal with that?
We do, yeah. So if you go to the Play Store and you search OneDrive and kind of go to our landing page there, you can scroll down and there's an ability to join as a beta tester. And what that means is you'll pretty much get everything we release about a week or a week and a half early. And to be fair, too, we also leave things in beta sometimes for a little bit longer. So if there's a feature, it's like a big update or a big feature, it might stay in beta for a month or so. So you'll get stuff way ahead of everyone else.
So if I'm running, my organization and thinking about what I can deploy, I can run the beta and get access to this and see things before they're available, right? And know how my customers and my users are going to use it.
Yeah, see things before they're available, and also you'll get a little bit more attention from us. So if you ever shake to send feedback and send us a ticket or talk to a support agent, we'll pay extra close attention to ones that come in from the beta channel as opposed to ones that are in production, just because there's less people there and because there are new features that we're thinking about as they're getting rolled out. So it's a great way if you want to be more involved, if you want to have a closer communication with the product team, get on the beta, shake to send feedback, give us your comments, your feedback, anything you think we can improve, and we'll be more likely to be able to iterate and listen to what you're saying.
Awesome.
So last week we announced dark mode on Android, as Eli just mentioned, that it started rolling out. And I want to talk more about the design process, but I would also like to take a moment and thank all of our users for the overwhelming response we have received. I mean, over our blogs, social media, I really, really enjoyed reading all the comments. And I want to actually read one specific comment on our dark mode tweet. So this is from someone called Sully. I think it's mostly for Daniela, Eli, and your team. The comment is, I love you guys. Go tell everyone in the office that Sully loves them. Find some random developer hunched over his or her computer and whisper in his or her ear, Sully loves you. This is the amount of love we've got for dark mode Android, and it's just amazing.
Warms my heart.
Yeah, and this is just one of them, so it's just great. And Sally, if you're listening to us by chance, we've conveyed your comment to everyone who's been developing such amazing features. Daniela, specifically for you, was there anything tricky about bringing dark mode to our OneDrive app for Android?
I think that first and foremost, it was the most fascinating part of the process when we designed for dark mode is that before it becomes OneDrive team effort, first and foremost is a company effort. All the designers at Microsoft really want to create shared patterns and a connection between all of our products so that they feel familiar and are always easy to use to our users. What we did in the beginning was to get together and really define fundamental elements that work both in light and dark mode. And all of these elements are accessible, legible, they work great on any device. So that was really just the core work of it. And then what we did on our end was to take all of these patterns and apply them to the scenarios that exist in OneDrive. We do have some challenges around showing hierarchy, grouping, and contrast in the app. You can always see that it's easier than light mode because the canvas is white. You can add a shadow and you can add a border and really easily group and differentiate items. But when the canvas goes dark, all you rely on is mostly colors. That's been very challenging to still communicate the same level of visual hierarchy in the app when you switch to dark mode.
That's amazing. I love the detail that you're talking about of really making sure, things stand out, are easy to see. And I hadn't thought before about how much more difficult that must be in dark mode because you can't play with shadow in the same way.
Yes, it really is just a lot of building blocks. Most of the core of how it works is by using multiple shades of gray and blacks and overlaying them on top of each other based on how and when they appear. And that creates this idea of depth of process. It helps you navigate the app and differentiate between the different tasks, dialogues, and interactions. And I think something else that's been really challenging in dark mode is color. When everything is dark, everything that's not black pops up really well. And that can be sometimes really distracting. So it's been we've put a lot of effort into deciding what would be gray, what's going to be blue, what's the color or shade of white that we use, or gray, so that we put less strain on your eyes and really help you focus on the things that matter the most on the screen.
That totally makes sense. And, I think as a user, I really appreciate kind of the thoughtfulness that goes into it, especially as I use dark mode when I'm transitioning between light environments around me and or I go outside where it might be a lot brighter. The kind of thought that you're putting into that really shows up.
Yes.
We absolutely could have half-assed this feature. Like, there's an ability, Google exposes this thing where we can kind of force overrides. So they'll use some algorithm to determine what our app should look like in dark mode. And I remember when we first saw that, I was like, oh, this thing looks great. Like, why don't we just do this? And thank God there were other people who were like, absolutely not, we should do this ourselves. Because Daniela did an amazing job of really going into the attention to detail to make sure everything looks awesome. And we went 100% here. It wasn't just something to get out of the way. It was something that we knew customers wanted, and we made sure to put the appropriate amount of detail and time into to really make it awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We used to, from like a code standpoint, we used to have all these different colors. And one of the things we did was we unified all the colors. We went from like 14 different colors throughout the app, and now we have like 4 main ones. And that allows us in the future to add new themes if we'd want to. So, I don't know necessarily what these themes would be, but it's just super easy for us to iterate in the future. And so it's like, not only did we kind of clean up a lot of the UI and make this great, we also cleaned up our code so that in the future we'll be able to iterate more quickly.
So that's cool. And certainly an interesting thing to think about what our opportunities are going forward. Hopefully, folks can go to User Voice and tell us maybe a little bit about what they'd like to see. Along those lines, Eli, how do you think about what goes into making an amazing Android app? So I think Daniela did a great job talking about how to think deeply on the design and the functionality, how it gets exposed through that. But what are the kind of misconceptions or challenges with making the app overall really stand out and be an amazing experience that people love?
It's a great question. The thing that when you think about Android apps, you're also thinking about them in comparison to iOS apps. So I'm just going to kind of put that on the table. That's reality. And the main difference when we think about how those two different OSs work is the actual hardware. So Apple owns all of their devices. Every person who works on the OS, on the operating system, on all the apps for Apple is in the same company as everyone who works on the hardware for the most part. And on Android, you have all these different hardware developers who are hardware manufacturers that are creating different phones that Android's on top of. And so just kind of as a product of that, it means that there's going to be way more kind of wacky form factors or different shaped phones or different ways that people are going to take advantage of it. That means that it brings with it this perception that there isn't going to be as much attention to detail, or that it's not going to look as polished as something like iOS. But I think that dark mode and on this day and some of the features we've done in the last 6 months really emphasize the idea that that's not true, that you can make amazingly polished and beautiful and just top-notch attention to detail features on Android. And from a developer standpoint, it's absolutely true that we have some more freedom. So, for example, we're able to run a little bit more in the background than iOS compared to iOS apps. And there's more options for integrating with local storage, which are some kind of engineering specifics. But those things, despite this kind of more extensibility, despite this more customizability, do not prevent us from making a really, really awesome, polished UX in our apps. I hope that answers your question, because I'm a big Android supporter, and sometimes when we talk about Android as opposed to iOS, I get a little bit worked up.
That's right, and folks, listening along, Eli and Lauren, who you've heard before, runs our iOS app, and the two of them share an office, and so we kind of push them together to kind of push the boundaries of what's amazing on mobile devices. So it's really exciting to see kind of the passion and excitement come for it. Daniela, did you have anything else you'd add about kind of misconceptions or things that go into making the Android app really amazing?
I completely agree with Eli, and I think a big misconception is that all Android apps should look like Google apps. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that you have so much freedom with Android to make your app unique while also conforming with material design guidelines. And really, you can make your brand stand out. You can polish a certain experience to perfection just the way you want it, which is truly amazing. I think both as a challenge to developers, but also for designers who want to try something that hasn't been seen in material design before.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, that is a great design-centric discussion, but before we end, I would also like to ask and understand more about the customer scenarios that you guys see regarding OneDrive for Android. Like, what value do you see OneDrive for Android bring to the customers?
It's all about viewing files. It's about viewing files anywhere, anytime, any file. Just being able to get the context. I always use it. I mean, listen, I'm a little biased. I use it like my phone pretty much all the time. I'm always on OneDrive. But I'm walking to a meeting. There's a document associated with the meeting. I'm on OneDrive checking it out. I'm on a bus home. I'm on my phone, starting in OneDrive, finding the file I want, then maybe opening it in the appropriate Office app and editing it there. Or sharing it too. I can get a lot of work done sharing files with my teammates. Sending emails and attaching stuff via OneDrive. All those things about viewing the surrounding files. And then also, I mean, I've brought this up already, but annotating. I find annotating really, really valuable. I often use the markup a copy feature for notes for myself. And when I'm, again, on a bus or in the back of an Uber or something like that, it's just a really quick opportunity for me to get some productivity in. And it's so easy because I can – as quickly, I'll go to my recent tab, for example. So we have a tab on the very bottom, the second from the left, that has all the files across any endpoint that you've looked at recently. And so I know one thing that I do is maybe I'm going to my own meeting. I have a presentation I'm giving, and I'm just finishing up the deck right before, and I start walking to the meeting room, and I'm on my phone checking it out, making sure my deck looks okay, running through the talking points that I want to bring up in the meeting, doing all that stuff. It's just any opportunity you have to try and get productivity done, I think you should start with, that's file related, I guess, you should start with OneDrive.
I personally love the scan feature as well for our OneDrive app.
Yeah, it'd be great to maybe talk a bit about customer conversation or so.
Cool. So one other scenario, and this is actually a real world one that I've talked to customers about, is with an airline. So airline pilots often need their manuals associated with whatever aircraft they're actually going to be piloting that day with them. And so one of the ways that they're able to do this using OneDrive Mobile is through our offline file feature, which allows you to take a file that's stored in the cloud and save it locally so that no matter what your connectivity is, whether you don't have Wi-Fi or do, you're able to look at that. And so you can imagine how important this can be when you're up in the sky and you need to refer to something within the manual. It'll be right there for you to check out.
That's a great point. And this can actually also be extended to your previous point of annotating files. So it can also be very easy for pilots up in the sky to annotate anything if they want to. So that's a great feature.
That's awesome. Daniela, anything you'd add?
I have really good examples of how I've been using just the core functionality of OneDrive, which is to save your files and access them everywhere. I have recently talked to my grandmother, and she's, of course, a little bit old-fashioned, and she was storing all of her photos on her laptop. One day she lost all of them, and she was very frustrated. Yeah, it's just very frustrated. And I can't really explain to her go and purchase this membership. She really doesn't have that much knowledge about computers. But what I did was, hey, grandmother, I shared this folder with you. Just whenever you have photos, just put them into this folder. And she has OneDrive on her laptop, and whenever she has new photos, she adds them to that folder. They do get saved to my OneDrive. It's not hers because I have enough storage to take up all of the photos. So we share. It's more like a family folder. But because of that, she's able to save all of her photos and access them on any new device that she buys or if anything happens to it. And it's a very basic functionality. We obviously had a work around it because of her limitation with technology, but she is absolutely happy and it works seamlessly, and that's everything she wanted.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great that you're able to share those, keep those memories as well as part of that. That's such a powerful thing to be able to have in the family. All right, well, we are out of time, but we have time for our one last question, our fun question for the group. What is it this week, Ankita?
So this week we want to know, what was your favorite toy growing up as a kid?
Daniela, why don't you go?
My favorite toy was actually a series of toys. There was this toothpaste when I was growing up. I don't know what its name was, but it had a crocodile on it, like a cartoonish crocodile. And it obviously made me really happy to brush my teeth with it because it was so fun. And every time you buy one, they would give you this little crocodile toy. And each one was unique and was with different clothes on or was performing some kind of different activity. And I just love collecting them and playing with them in a sandbox and building castles and making them live together. It was really nice.
That's awesome. Eli, how about you?
I'm definitely a child of the screen, so I don't have a ton of toys that I was. The one that stands out, I think, is we had these things called Kinects, which were they're like Legos, but they're more plasticky and they're like longer beams that you can kind of put together into these larger structures, kind of like Legos, but they were like a lot less sturdy and kind of like longer and bigger. And I remember just spending hours and hours putting those things together into weird shapes. So I remember building these towers as big as I could and, having weird balance on them and having them be as asymmetrical as possible while still be able to stand up and all this fun stuff.
That's awesome. How about you, Ankita?
I have grown up playing a lot with Hot Wheels cars. I'm not sure if it is as popular in the US, but in India, it was a rager when we were kids.
Absolutely.
I loved those.
I remember my parents doing the right thing and getting Barbie dolls for me. But I was growing up with my cousin who loved these cars, and and we were very competitive. So anything he bought, I had to have it. And he used to lose his cars a lot. So his mom used to give them to me because I was the careful one. And I had a ton of Hot Wheels cars. And he got me addicted to Need for Speed also because of all the car racing we were doing with these small cars. Those were the toys. I had a great collection.
That's awesome.
Jason, what about you?
I think I'm going to go for something that won't surprise you, especially because we had them on stage 2 years ago.
Lego?
With us talking about how they use OneDrive. That's right, Lego. If I think about my one favorite toy as a kid growing up, it was Lego. And I love that it has become quasi-okay for me to have still bought Legos however old I am now. I really, really, really loved Lego, and I loved building things, and I loved taking them apart and coming up with new clever ways to build cool concepts, whether they were spaceships or castles or little robots that would, turn pages in my book. So yeah, no, I'm a huge fan.
Have you visited their amusement park?
I have visited the Legoland in California. I have been there several times with my kids because, wink, wink, they totally wanted to go. So yes, I am definitely a devotee. And my house is filled with Legos. So to this day, still my favorite toy.
Which is your favorite Lego that you've built?
Favorite set of all time?
Yeah.
That is so hard. Oh gosh, I mean, what period of time? There's so many good ones. The Death Star set, the Ewok Village set, and the B-Wing are three great Star Wars ones. But if I went back and I really reached back, the one that I played the most with that I enjoyed the most in kind of building. It was the full pirate set with I think it had 2 masts, maybe it was 3 masts on the pirate ship. I would build that, and my brother and I would sail it in the bathtub and had a ton of fun with it.
I actually didn't know, to be frank, that Lego was so huge among grown-up folks as well, till I saw David Beckham building this big Hogwarts castle of Lego, and like he is also a Lego maniac. And I saw his Instagram stories, and I realized, okay, this is a big thing among elders as well, because even Stephen, if you know Jason, he has these huge Lego sets of, I think, How I Met Your Mother and stuff. So.
Yeah, no, I think that it is just another thing that David Beckham and I share in common.
Another thing? What is the first thing?
We're both really good at soccer. But anyway, that is all the time we have for today. And thank you so much, Eli and Daniela. How can people find and learn more a bit about you?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. My Twitter is Elijah Waalkes, so ElijahWaalkes. Not the easiest spelling, but I'm on there. I retweet a lot of OneDrive stuff. So if you want to stay updated, you can definitely check that out.
Awesome. Daniela?
You can find me on LinkedIn, and it's just Daniela Dimitrova. And then I also have a portfolio website. It's daniela.me, and Daniela is spelled with 2 E's. I know it's a weird one.
That's great. I love that. Well, thank you both again for being on Sync Up. It's been great to have you, and I hope our Android fans out there are excited for that, for the good work that's come and some of the new things that will be coming in the future.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. It was really nice.
Thank you, everyone. Very fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in.
Next up, we have roadmap updates, so don't go away.
So it's time to share with the listeners our latest news and announcements regarding OneDrive. This past month, we rolled out updates to @mention email notifications. So whenever someone @mentions you in an Office file, you receive an email that notifies you about the same. With this update, you will be able to read through the comments that you have been @mentioned in directly in the email notification. And as we told you the month prior, that you can even reply to comments directly in the email notification now. We have been enhancing the OneDrive Sync in-app support experience for some time now, and currently rolling out a help pane to Windows and Mac. It features static links to top troubleshooting and self-help content, as well as the ability to search for support articles. Finally, Mover that Microsoft acquired some time back is now available to Microsoft 365 customers worldwide. For those of you who don't know, Mover supports migration from over a dozen cloud service providers, including Box, Dropbox, Ignite, and Google Drive, into OneDrive and SharePoint. For more information on all these features, do check out our roadmap blogs at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog. Today, in our special segment, we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, reverse mentoring. Now, usually when we talk about mentoring, it refers to a top-down learning approach. But in the past decade, it has been realized that giving junior team members the opportunity to share up-to-date skills and knowledge with more senior colleagues is also very crucial. And this is called reverse mentoring. Fun fact, the former CEO of General Electric, Jack Welch, is actually credited to invent the concept of reverse mentoring. He recognized his lack of technology skills in the late 1990s and believed that the youngest people that joined the company were far more knowledgeable about the new technologies than their managers. So he asked 500 of his top executives to seek out mentors from among these new joiners. And today we are going to discuss more real-life scenarios on reverse mentoring. So Jason, what does reverse mentoring signify to you?
To me, Ankita, reverse mentoring it breaks down into 3 major pieces, right? It's about promoting this cross-generational understanding, like you were saying about Jack Welch, leveraging this to learn more from that upcoming, set of folks coming into the organization, into the workforce. This helps you do that. It also kind of gives insight into gender and other underrepresented minorities. A lot of organizations out there, we know from the data, don't have the great representation at all levels of the hierarchy. And so this is an opportunity to connect with folks as they're coming into the organization and helps you have an opportunity not just to retain them, but also to develop better skills for what it takes to have those people grow in your organization. And it also inspires organizational change towards a more inclusive culture. Honestly, I think people get excited about what it means to get after improving these things. When they put a face to it, they learn about it, they get perspective on it, and that leads to them having more inclusive, successful organizations and better outcomes. In this kind of situation, like if you're the mentee, the value you get out of this is you get to ideate and get feedback with some perspective from someone who just has a different view from you. And you get to share all of those learnings with your peers, with your partners, with others who may not have the same opportunity or connection in. And that fundamentally gives you a better peek into understanding another generation's experience. And of course, from the mentor side, there's also value. It's not just educating these more senior folks. You get to kind of connect in on an opportunity for broader impact in that organization. You're networking with senior leaders, and you've got an ability to share new knowledge and information that you receive out of that.
Yeah, that's interesting and great to know that you're cautiously thinking about all of it. And I'm sure I have mentored you in countless ways that I don't even know.
Absolutely.
But do you formally have any reverse mentors?
Yes, I absolutely do. And actually, you make a great point. There are formal and informal versions of this. I personally believe that I have both, and I'm very grateful for that. In particular, in terms of formal, for the last 2 years, I've had an awesome reverse mentor, Sarah. She's great to talk to, and I've learned a lot about what it means to be coming into the tech industry, and Microsoft in particular is someone relatively new in career. I started at Microsoft over 20 years ago, and so this is something I can't experience again. The world has changed, technology has changed, and perspectives and things that are influencing that next generation are just different. So I get a lot out of that, and Sarah's been a fantastic reverse mentor for me.
Can you share an example of something really useful that you've gotten out of it?
Sure. One of the great ways that I've kind of benefited from my reverse mentorship with Sarah has been the opportunity to talk about things with someone who can give me really unfiltered feedback from her perspective. In my organization, I have a lot of new folks, new and career folks in my team. And so they may or may not be comfortable telling me everything exactly the way they feel it. And with Sarah, I can talk about all of those things and get really honest, open feedback on that. Examples of that are things like discussing how to talk about compensation and rewards. That's a really big deal that I've dug into a lot with Sarah because she's helped me get more sensitive and thoughtful about people that are just starting out and the situations they're having entering the workforce. How do they think about things like compensation that they get in the organization? How do they think about being rewarded for their performance? And how do they think about feedback and perspective on their performance for those? So she helps me make me a lot more aware of that. And it's actually really kind of changed the way I talk about a number of topics because I just know that the way I might have learned to talk about something or the way it might have been talked to me isn't necessarily the way that this next generation wants to or needs to hear to get the most out of it. And that's just made me more effective with the folks in my team.
I mean, it's a part of diversity and inclusion, right?
Absolutely.
Somehow live up to it as well because you're getting information and thought process of so many other people that you might not really know about, and especially people with lesser experience or who are new to the industry. That's great. So if our listeners are really influenced by your journey in reverse mentoring and want to get started, how can they learn more about it?
I'll make sure we include a link to some resources in the show notes so folks can get after those, including a great article that Sarah wrote with a number of other folks doing reverse mentoring at Microsoft. But there's honestly an explosion of good thinking about this. So a search in your favorite browser is going to lead you to some great content. Just go to there and type in reverse mentoring. The Harvard Business Review, Forbes, and many others have done some really solid write-ups that explain the benefits and how to get started. And you can check out the resources from the Anita Borg Institute in particular that can help here. So I'll make sure we include all of that in the show notes so folks that are interested and curious can go learn how to get involved in a reverse mentoring relationship or kickstart in their own organization that kind of experience.
Awesome. And listeners, I hope you find your reverse mentors soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you to our guests Daniela Dimitrova and Eli Waalkes. We encourage you to download the mobile applications and per the topic today, especially consider joining our OneDrive for Android beta program. You can get started with all at onedrive.com/download. To learn more about OneDrive and the latest developments, please follow our tech community blog at aka.ms/onedrive/blog.
And please do send us your questions and feedback. You can reach us on Twitter at OneDrive, at Jasmo, and at Ankita_Kirti21. And definitely visit our show page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/syncup. That's SYNCUP. Subscribe to and follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy SyncUp, spread the word. Tell your colleagues, your dog walker, your cat sitter, your grandparent, your dentist. Really, everyone should know more about OneDrive, and this is a great opportunity to let them know. You can help others learn about and find the show. We all know how important and impactful sharing can be. Now, if you listen to other cool shows by Microsoft, you can get those at aka.ms/Microsoft/podcast. There's something for everyone.
Thank you for listening to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive, the intelligent files app for Microsoft 365. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. We'll catch up with you next month. Yay!